historic residential street in New Orleans, Louisville, or Atlanta, they will likely experience a moment of profound architectural confusion. They will look at the homes lining the street and immediately realize that every single rule they know about residential design has been completely thrown out the window. They are looking at the shotgun house. From the sidewalk, these homes look impossibly skinny. They seem to defy the basic requirements of human habitation. Yet, these structures are not just surviving. They are currently some of the most fiercely coveted, highly valued, and culturally significant pieces of real estate in the American South. We have previously explored the fascinating Afro-Caribbean history of these homes and the myths that surround them. But today, we are zooming in with a microscopic lens. We are asking a much more specific architectural question. What is it about the physical construction of these homes that makes them so entirely, undeniably unique? Why does walking into a shotgun house feel unlike walking into any other home on Earth? To answer this, we must dissect the house entirely. We are going to explore the extreme, uncompromising geometry of its floor plan. We will look at the bizarre psychological effects of living without hallways. We will uncover the miraculous properties of the ancient swamp timber used to build them and decode the surprising optical illusions of their Victorian facades. Prepare to dismantle the box, because we are about to uncover the brilliant, eccentric anatomy of the shotgun house.
The very first thing that makes a shotgun house unique is its sheer, uncompromising mathematical footprint. In the world of residential architecture, the square or the wide rectangle is the undisputed king. A wide house allows for central living spaces flanked by wings of bedrooms, creating a sense of balanced radial symmetry. The shotgun house completely obliterates this concept of radial symmetry. A classic single shotgun house is defined by extreme elongated linearity. They are typically only 12 to 14 feet wide, yet they can stretch 60, 70, or even 80 feet deep into the property lot. When you stand at the front curb and look at the facade, you are only seeing a tiny fraction of the home's actual volume. It is the architectural equivalent of an iceberg. This extreme geometry was born out of urban necessity. In the rapidly expanding port cities of the 19th century, land was at an absolute premium. Developers needed to pack as many working-class families as possible on a single city block. By dividing land in incredibly narrow, deep slivers, they maximized the number of homes that could face the street. But this forced the builders to rethink how a house functions. You cannot put rooms side by side in a 12-foot wide house. You must stack them, one directly behind the other, like cars on a freight train. This single geometric constraint, the absolute restriction of width, is the DNA mutation that gave birth to every other unique quirk of the shotgun house.
Because the house is so intensely narrow, there is absolutely zero room for a hallway. A standard hallway requires at least 3 to 4 feet of width. If you put a 4-foot hallway in a 12-foot house, your bedrooms would only be 8 feet wide, which is essentially a closet. Therefore, the builders of the shotgun house made a radical decision. They eliminated the hallway entirely. This is what makes living in a shotgun house a profoundly unique psychological experience. In modern architecture, the hallway is a protective buffer. It is a neutral zone that separates public spaces, like the living room, from private spaces, like the bedroom. Without a hallway, that buffer vanishes. Every single room in a shotgun house is a thoroughfare. If you are sitting in the kitchen at the back of the house and the doorbell rings at the front of the house, you must physically walk through the guest bedroom, walk through the master bedroom, and walk through the parlor to answer it. There is no way to bypass a room. This layout enforces a level of human intimacy and spatial connection that is almost entirely extinct in modern housing. You cannot hide in a shotgun house. You cannot easily isolate yourself from your family or your roommates. The architecture binds the occupants together, forcing daily interaction, communication, and a shared rhythm of life. It is an architecture that demands you live with people, not just near them. If you walk into a typical tiny home or a modern micro-apartment, you often feel a distinct sense of claustrophobia. The walls are close together and the ceilings are standard height, creating a suffocating box. When you walk into a shotgun house, despite the fact that the walls are only 12 feet apart, you rarely feel claustrophobic. Why? Because the builders manipulated the vertical volume. What the shotgun house lacks in width, it fiercely overcompensates for in height. It is incredibly common to find shotgun houses with ceilings that soar to 11, 12, or even 14 feet high. This creates a profound optical illusion. The massive vertical volume draws the eye upward, tricking the brain into perceiving the space as grand, airy, and expansive. But this massive ceiling height was not done for aesthetics. It was a brilliant, life-saving stroke of thermal engineering. In the era before air conditioning, the brutal, humid heat of the Deep South was trapped inside homes. Because hot air naturally rises, a 12-foot ceiling acted as a massive thermal vault. The heat generated by cooking and human bodies would rise high above the occupants' heads. To expel this heat, builders placed small, operable glass panels called transom windows directly above every interior door. Even when the bedroom doors were closed for privacy, the transoms were left open, allowing the trapped hot air to flow freely across the high ceilings and escape out the back of the house. The shotgun house is not just a building, it is a highly calibrated passive climate control machine.
One of the most remarkable things about historic shotgun houses is the simple fact that they are still standing. These are wooden houses built in subtropical swamps, enduring over a century of Category 5 hurricanes, biblical flooding, relentless humidity, and swarms of subterranean termites. By all modern building standards, these houses should have rotted into dust decades ago. Their survival is entirely due to one unique, irreplaceable material: old-growth bald cypress. When these homes were built in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, builders utilized the timber that was immediately available in the surrounding swamps. The old-growth cypress trees they harvested had been growing slowly in the wet, hostile environment for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. Because these trees grew incredibly slowly, the growth rings in the wood are packed tightly together, making the timber astonishingly dense. More importantly, the cypress tree naturally produces a chemical oil called cypressine. This naturally occurring oil acts as a powerful preservative, making the wood completely unappetizing to termites and naturally impervious to water rot. The structural framing, the exterior siding, and often the floorboards of original shotgun houses are built entirely out of this legendary wood eternal. Today, old-growth cypress is virtually extinct and practically impossible to buy. The skeleton of a historic shotgun house is made of a miracle material that simply cannot be replicated by modern commercial lumber, rendering these tiny homes virtually indestructible artifacts of natural history.
There is a fascinating psychological quirk built into the exterior of the shotgun house. Historically, these were built as working-class homes, intended for laborers, tradesmen, and recent immigrants. They were the most affordable housing available. Yet, if you look at the front facade of a classic shotgun house, it often looks like a miniature, highly decorated Victorian mansion. This is what makes the shotgun visually unique: the democratization of architectural ornament. During the late 1800s, the Industrial Revolution introduced the steam-powered scroll saw and mass-produced millwork. Suddenly, the elaborate, highly carved wooden details that were previously only available to the ultra-wealthy could be ordered out of a catalog for pennies. Working-class families and builders began applying these lavish details, known as gingerbread trim, Italianate brackets, and ornate corbels, to the tiny front porches of their shotgun homes. Because the house was so incredibly narrow, the front facade was the only part of the house the public ever saw. By overloading this 12-foot wide canvas with beautiful, complex architectural jewelry, the homeowners created a powerful illusion of wealth, pride, and status. The shotgun house proves that you do not need massive square footage to participate in high design. It is an architecture that wears its absolute Sunday best every single day. The uniqueness of the shotgun house extends beyond the building itself. It dictates the entire layout of the urban grid. In modern suburban planning, houses are pushed far back from the street, surrounded by deep green lawns and wide driveways to maximize isolation. The shotgun house operates on the exact opposite principle. It thrives on maximum density. Shotgun houses were built on what is essentially a zero lot line. The front steps of the house often land directly onto the public sidewalk. There is no front yard to mow and no driveway to park a car. Furthermore, the houses are built incredibly close to one another. The side alleyways between shotgun houses are often only 3 to 4 feet wide, just enough room for the roof overhangs to clear each other. This intense, unapologetic proximity created the legendary stoop culture of the South. Because you are sitting on your front porch, just inches away from the public sidewalk, you are inherently involved in the life of the street. You cannot ignore your neighbors when their front door is only 6 feet away from yours. This density birthed an environment of extreme social accountability, mutual support, and vibrant, continuous conversation. The architecture removes the barriers of isolation, forcing a communal existence that defined the cultural soul of cities like New Orleans for generations.
If you strip away the history, the geometry, and the woodwork, the most immediately striking, unmistakable feature of a shotgun neighborhood is the color. While the rest of America often defaults to safe, conservative shades of beige, gray, and white, the shotgun house unapologetically embraces a chromatic explosion. This vivid use of color is a direct inheritance from the home's Afro-Caribbean roots. In places like Haiti and the West Indies, vibrant colors were used to reflect the bright tropical sun and express individual joy and identity. When this architecture migrated to the American South, the color palette came with it. Walking down a street of shotgun homes is like walking through a box of crayons. You will see vivid purples, electric yellows, and deep Caribbean teals. There is also a fascinating, deeply ingrained superstition hidden in the paint. If you look closely at the ceiling of almost any historic shotgun front porch, you will notice it is painted a very specific, soft shade of pale blue. This color is traditionally known as Haint Blue. According to Gullah Geechee folklore and Southern tradition, a haint is a restless, malicious spirit. It was believed that spirits could not cross water. By painting the porch ceiling blue to mimic water or the sky, the homeowners believed they were creating a spiritual barrier, tricking the evil spirits and keeping their homes safe from harm. The shotgun house is not just painted, it is spiritually armored.
While the single shotgun is an architectural marvel, its most famous evolution, the double shotgun, introduces an entirely new layer of uniqueness. To maximize rental income and fit even more families onto city blocks, builders mirrored the floor plan, creating a two-family duplex that shares a single roof and a single continuous central dividing wall. Living in a double shotgun is an exercise in profound, unspoken boundaries. You share a party wall with your neighbor that runs the entire 70-foot length of your home. Historically, these walls were not soundproofed with modern acoustic insulation. They were simply wooden studs covered with lath and plaster. This means you share the intimate acoustics of daily life with the family next door. You hear their footsteps, the muffled sound of their television, and the clatter of their kitchen pots. Yet, despite this shared spine, the double shotgun maintains a fierce visual symmetry from the street. The two front doors sit side by side on the shared front porch, often painted in contrasting colors to denote individuality. This layout created a unique socio-economic engine. It allowed working-class families to buy a home, live in one half, and generate passive income by renting out the other half, establishing a pathway to generational wealth that was otherwise inaccessible. The double shotgun is a monument to urban density and financial ingenuity.